We're here with Miss Candice Accola, and this week Tyler returns on the Vampire Diaries.
Tyler does return to the Tyler returns to Mystic Falls.
Yeah. I mean, he's been gone for so long. Is it nice to have, first of all, is it nice to have Trevino back after all that time when he like returns from his LA time?
Yes, it's always bizarre because it is. I mean, we kind of become, and especially all the boys are so close together in their daily life, and they always spend time together. So it really is like one of your buddies just went away to summer camp.
And he did it last year too.
I know. But yeah, Tyler's been gone, and he's been working on controlling his ability, or he's been working on trying to break the sire bond that he has with Klaus. And so when he comes back to town, we're going to see if he was successful or if he was not, and it's going to be put to the test.
Does it feel like there's a change in Tyler when he comes back? I mean, it doesn't seem like he would have been having a lot of fun this whole time.
We're going to hear about his experiences that he's had, and we're going to hear about his trip, and we're also, but a lot has happened since he's been gone. I mean, we found out that, if any originals are killed, that it's going to affect the bloodline of the entire vampire species. And, and also how much do Damon and Stefan care about the fact, if they find out that someone else created their line, do they really care about who created, who Klaus has created?
I do.
Caroline does. She sure does. I will say, that Caroline and Tyler fans, I think, will be very happy with this reunion.
We saw some pictures
for a little while.
Of course, we're never happy for long.
Don't be happy too long.
We saw some pictures from the Decade Dance Week, so we know that Klaus shows up to try to win Caroline over, or that's what it looks like anyway.
Klaus does show up to the Decade Dance, which was supposed to be a 70s Decade Dance.
That's what I figured in the order.
Yes, but Rebecca just had to have it her way, and that's actually one of my favorite. I just have a blast working with Claire Holt anyway. I think she's an incredible addition to our family, but also I just love the banter between these two characters. I mean, it is such a prototype, like the battle of the blondes. And
that was literally my headline.
It is. It really is. And only she's way cooler because she has an accent. I mean, who are we kidding?
You can't compete.
I can't compete. I'm just one of these Americans. And but yeah, I love their banter. I love their ping pong that they have in both the characters' dialogue. So we will see that, and we're going to see why it becomes the 20s dance, and we're going to see Klaus at the 20s dance, and Tyler is also at the dance with Caroline. So it's gonna be interesting.
This love triangle kind of came as a surprise to viewers, I know, because you hadn't even worked with Joseph before that scene where he saved Caroline when she was on her deathbed. Like, you guys had barely crossed paths on the show. So when you read that there was a connection forming, whether or not the connection's real or not, were you surprised? Were you I would have called Julie and been like, what?
I kind of got a heads up beforehand. So maybe sometimes when people ask, do you know what's going to happen? We say that we don't, because but there is always, I know, it's like we're actors or something. No, but genuinely there is a possibility. I mean, there were times throughout, I learned this during season 1 where I was told, certain things that were going to happen with the character, and then it went in the complete opposite direction. So if I had hinted at anything, it would have been like, what?
They would have changed it just to make you sound dumb.
Exactly. So there was a possibility. Joseph had heard that Caroline was going to be a romantic interest for Klaus, and yeah, I was interested too, because but it's also, you never know until you put both characters within that romantic circumstance if there's going to be chemistry or not, and so I mean, it's so funny that these characters do. I mean, that Caroline has just that naive, hopeful, but she's also very safe. She likes to be very safe. She's safe within her bubble at Mystic Falls, and she could never dream of going anywhere else. And yet, the viewers have seen her grow into such a strong character. And then you bring in Klaus, who, lives out every dream and every fantasy, and has been around since the beginning of time, and who still at the core has the same thing that Caroline wants, is just to be loved. And so you have these two opposing characters, but that still have the same intention, at the bottom of their heart. So I think that's what brings out their chemistry.
Has it been fun for you to like get to work with Joseph?
Yes, I mean he is again an incredible addition to the family, to the show, and I mean the character of Klaus is just so much fun, and the way that he plays it is so much fun. And I mean, who are we kidding? I like to say that, you know, the accents are the beer goggles for women. I mean, it's been so much fun. I do say I feel so bad for both Joseph and Claire, and whenever Gillies is in town, because immediately everyone thinks immediately that just because other people are talking with accents that we can talk with accents. So they'll be saying stuff.
It's contagious.
And you'll be like, do you want some coffee? And I'm just like, why are you talking like that? That doesn't.
And then all of you guys are just trying to kill them off, and they're so great with their accents.
I know. They immediately sound cooler.
I'm like, I want all of these plans to fail.
I know. And they do. So don't.
Good. Well, they always
I know.
do. They always do. Towards like the last couple episodes, I mean, Caroline's been through so much this year. She lost her dad. She found out that her friend is the one who killed her dad, and she's very much taking it all in stride. But I know that we've got some more tragedy coming up in Mystic Falls. I mean, do you think she's gonna lose it at any point? I'm waiting for her to like snap.
Yes. Well, I think that's also that's one of my favorite things about the character is that, and I think that's what makes her so relatable, is that she'll be the first one to admit that she's faulted. And I think that that's been something, even though it's come, you know, to a very extreme, come out in a very extreme way in the sense of, you know, Caroline's grown up enough to be able to sit down in front of Alaric and say, I know that you killed my father, and I have blood on my hands too. But and yet, you know, back in season 1, she could also talk to Matt and say, look, I'm not perfect. I say things all the time, and I put my foot in my mouth, and I say things just to get attention.
Even in the very first pilot episode, she was like, here are my faults.
Yeah, she's like, I always try to get the boys, and they never want me, and I just want to be wanted, and, you know, and I love that about her, because, you know, yeah, that's part of growing up, is everyone's going to be selfish at a point in their life. Everyone's going to put their foot in their mouth. Everyone's going to make mistakes and wrong someone, and you know, yes, this is an extreme case because it's a supernatural-based show, but at the same time, I love that she's the first one to admit her faults. And so is she going to lose it? I mean, who knows? I mean, that's the beauty of television, is that there's so much time for all these hills and valleys and arcs. But right now, I love that she's taking it with as much pride as she can.
She's very graceful.
She has been very graceful.
I would be like, I'm never coming out of my room ever again.
Yeah.
That's the end of it.
Yes. But I think it's also the relatability of the fact that all of her friends are kind of going through similar things. And she's also, and this is a way that I actually connect with her very much as a character, is that she's a fix-it person. And so she will avoid as much emotional confrontation as she can by just fixing it or throwing a party. So that is something that I do. I just, you know, any sort of thing, I always try to like, oh, well, we'll just have a dinner and everything will be okay. And oh, if I, you know, if I buy a new pillow and make it all good, it's all, yeah, everything's perfect. So
I know that everything's very secret, but if you could tease a tiny bit of the finale, what can fans look forward to? Or should they not look forward to it? Should they just be scared?
No, the fans actually shouldn't be scared at all. I mean, it's always an interesting thing reading the finale because of, you know, what the show has become in the sense of they're willing to take so many risks. But this was actually, I will say that viewers should look forward to the fact that it's brought back to the beginning. And it really just reminds, because this was a very crazy season. And even just reading breakdowns of certain things, I'm like, what, what, it's so much. And if you're just jumping into it at a certain point, it's almost like, wait, what the heck is going on? But what I love what the writers did with the finale is that they kind of calmed it all down and really brought it back to the truth of what the show began as in season 1. And I think that that's going to be a theme going into season 4 as well. But yeah, the originals just came into town and just stirred it up, and so
I like it. They can stay.
They can stay. They're very fun. I adore them all. But yeah, I love that this finale brings it's very based around emotional integrity as well as very big action points.
Cool. Thank you.